All right, so last episode we talked about cock. All right, we talked a lot about cock. So today we're going to talk about laugh. And no, this is not the type of cock you're thinking of. We're talking about capo caco. All right, so get those dirty thoughts out of your mind. All right, it's capo caco. All right. If you clicked on here for the other kind of what I just said, then you're on the complete wrong website. All right. We're talking about laugh. So Alexis Lafreniere. So Lafreniere, man, he's due for a contract. He is certainly behind his peers in his draft class. And I was actually watching some old Alexis Lafreniere clips today, and I wonder, man, what the fuck happened here? And I remembered, oh, he's a member of the New York Rangers, and the Rangers are just really good at just stymieing any youth hope or any love for the game or anything. Yeah, he's completely been usurped by Tim Stutzla, Lucas Raymond, Drysdale, not quite yet, but getting there in terms of the efficacy of a player, Lindell, even Jarvis, Dawson Mercer. It's quite disappointing that our runaway first overall pick, who was a damn lock to be the first overall pick in his draft class, has really just not been what we needed yet. And I put part of that blame on the New York Rangers and how they develop players, of course. You put a little bit on David Quinn, a little bit on Gerard Gallant, you put it a little bit on everybody. But at the end of the day, Alexis Lafreniere is the individual on the ice. He's got to be the master of his own fate. And I talked with Python and I think it was Nico ad nauseum about how shitty the NHL-CHL agreement is and how players who aren't NHL ready but have nothing to prove in the minors have nowhere else to go but either the NHL or the minors or the CHL. So, but again, it's how it's for another day. This is the hand you're dealt. This is the hand you got to play with. Alexis Lafreniere shows flashes often. Shows flashes of absolute brilliance. Shows flashes of really just the number one overall pick. Physicality, the shot, the hands, the passing, everything. The one thing that Alexis Lafreniere really hasn't shown much of is his skating ability. He does not possess a quick feet. Works well in the corners, wins puck battles every now and again, but that's only when he's really engaged. But not a lot of straightaway speed. Good crossovers, a good east-west speed sometimes, but the north-south speed is just really not there with Alexis Lafreniere. And you kind of hope that develops this offseason. I mean, going into year 4, you'd hope that he put maybe a little bit more meat on those legs and maybe be a bit faster and work with a skating coach. Because again, the skill is there. It's just really skating. It's not quite at NHL level. But we're just going to look at how Alexis Lafreniere started and where he's at now. We might talk about his contract at the end of his potential contract at the end of the video, but probably not. So Alexis Lafreniere, year 1, 56 games, 12-9 for 21, and 56 games played. We'll go over the points per 60 and all those fancy stats we always look at here. Year 2, 31. Not a bad year 2, but only .01 points per game better. I think his goals per game was actually down, but then again, his ice time was only up by 6 seconds per game. So, I don't know what else our wonderful coaching staff thought was going to happen. A former first overall pick, let's play him less than 14 minutes a night. So you can already see we're starting a trend. And in year 3, he gets a big bump, 15-13. Points per game goes up by .1. 16, 23, 39, and 81, .48 points per game. Just does everything better. 39 points is hardly a breakout season, but rain porn. Improvement, little by little. You still want to see more out of Alexis Lafreniere, and I hope more ice time next season will create that, because at some point, this is your first overall pick. He's 21 years old, going into his 4th year in the NHL. At some point, he's got to get top 6 ice time consistently and be allowed to make mistakes. On Twitter, I made the comparison today with Tage Thompson. He's been buried on the bottom 6 and punished for all his mistakes for years. Finally gets time in the top 6, is not punished for his mistakes, and now he's arguably a top 10 center in the entire NHL. So you just got to let the players freaking play, and I hope Peter Laviolette is going to allow that. I hope he's a forgiving coach and is going to allow players to develop under his systems. He's done that before with guys like Philip Forsberg and other players, Claude Giroux. No, was it Claude Giroux? I think it was Giroux was one of them, but either way. He's developed top young talent before. Hopefully he can do it again, because what we've gotten from Alexis Lafreniere is not what you want or expect from a first overall pick. By year 3, you're figuring you got a 70-point player and probably the best forward on your team. And you've maybe got the 5th or 6th best player on your team and a guy who, if he gets 40 points, we have to consider it a successful season compared to seasons prior. Let's look at his miscellaneous stats. This is going to be giveaways. This is going to be takeaways and those rates. I'm going to try not to get frustrated, guys. I'm going to try not to. So hits per 60, year 1, 331. Blocks, 84. Giveaways, 138. Takeaways, 115. Hits were way up in year 2, 586 per 60. Blocks actually were up to 141. Giveaways, 151. The takeaways, the big one, was 238. Pretty big drop off this season. He was taking away the puck at a ridiculously high rate in year 2, which is a very attractive stat. Takeaways. Getting the puck off the opponent's sticks. His hit rates were also up this season. His blocks stagnated a little bit. Giveaways went up a little bit, which suggested more puck possession and more puck carrying and more trying to do stuff with the puck. But I mean, just thinking back at the season, I don't really remember a whole lot of giveaways where it's like, he almost had that. It was a tough giveaway. It was more like, really, another stupid giveaway in the middle of the ice, but whatever. So you want the takeaways per 60 to go back up. It's a pretty important stat. You're taking the puck with you on the team. And the hits, you like the hits. You maybe hit a little bit more, engage a bit more. That's part of his style. I mean, Lafreniere, even in juniors, was a pretty physical player. I mean, it's French-Canadian hockey. It's hard-nosed. It's skill. It's just a mix of everything. And you want that out of your first overall pick. Taking a look at his penalties. So I'm more concerned about the net penalties. So in year 1, net penalties 0.15. Not great, but above average. Year 2, negative 0.16. Below average and bad. You don't want the negative. And then year 3, even. Took the same amount of penalties as he drew. One being a match, one being a minor. It's a wash. So technically above average, I believe the average net penalty per 60 in the NHL is negative 0.15. I could be way off on that, but I believe that's what it is. Or some bizarre number like that. So, again, you want him to draw more penalties than he takes, and that's not going to happen if you're not getting under the skin of your opponents by digging in down low, parking in front of the net, skating with the puck, and doing all those things you want from your players. Now, you could attribute this to maybe him being afraid to play with the puck because of getting punished, benched, put on the 4th line, this, that, the other thing. But at the same time, you're the master of your own fate. You're the first overall pick. You've been great at every level but the NHL, so why not experiment and just say, fuck it at some point? But then again, I'm not going to put myself in the shoes of an NHLer because I'm not an NHLer. I'm just some clown that sits in front of a camera and records videos for 10 minutes a day. We're going to look at his scoring per 60, and then we'll do a little contract overview. This is really just for me to just say a few things and look over numbers for you guys so we can just get a picture as to what's going on. All right, so goals per 60. Wow, .97 is pretty good, actually. Points per 60, 177. Not bad. Really not bad. Year 2, I think every rate went up except for assists. No, the points per 60 went down. Goals per 60 went up big time. That's about it. And year 3, the goals per 60 was way down. The assists per 60 was up, and the points per 60 was actually steadily decreasing every year. I don't know. It's granted small decreases in points per 60, but from a first overall pick, you'd want a little bit better than this. I tell you, man, it's frustrating. I mean, you go back and look at what Alexis Lafreniere was doing in World Juniors, what he was doing in the Q, and what he was doing at every level until he reached the NHL. It's just very, very frustrating. Alexis Lafreniere, contract-wise, I expect him to get the same exact, copy and paste contract that Capo Caco got. 2 years, $4.2 million, makes a $2.1 million a year for 2 years, takes him right to arbitration eligibility. I don't see another avenue to take this. You're not going to sign him to like an 8-year deal. You don't even know what kind of player you have yet. You're just not. You could take that risk, but only if you're getting a bargain. I can't see any world where you're justified signing Alexis Lafreniere to 8 years, paying him any more than $5.5 million a year, and even that's like, you don't know what you're getting yourself into. And I'm a big Alexis Lafreniere supporter. I'm our entire future at one point hedged on our first overall pick, Alexis Lafreniere. Probably aside from playoff moments In terms of transactions for the New York Rangers, probably the most excited I've ever been as a Rangers fan in my life in terms of transactions was when we won the first overall pick and drafted Alexis Lafreniere. You know, more than the Rick Nash trade, more than the St. Louis trade. Again, I'm talking strictly transactions, more than the Panarin signing, more than any of that. The most excited I've ever been is when we won the first overall pick and got Alexis Lafreniere. And it just really has not come to fruition yet, and it's very frustrating as a fan. And he needs to break out. And when I say break out, I'm not talking 40 points. I'm not talking 50 points. I'm saying this guy needs to have like a 65 plus 70-something point season. Because that's what we need. We need him to do this. But, again, that's going to come. It's going to come with coaching. It's going to come with everything. Because he's got to be given the proper minutes and deployment of ice on power play, all the stuff in order to do that. Put him on the first power play unit. You know, what did our power play do in the playoffs this year? Let's just take a look. Because I happen to remember... I seem to remember a team in the playoffs that couldn't do shit on the power play. Let's see. Yeah. Well, actually, 17.9 is not bad. But still, frustrating. Here, net power play percentage, 10.7%. Yeah, see, that's... Okay, so, you know, it's... Shit's got to get figured out. Why not give the young guys a look? I mean, the Rangers at some point have got to invest in the young guys. You know, Panarin was incredibly disappointing in the playoffs. Kakko and Lafreniere both deserve looks. I mean, your first and second overall pick, one's going into year 5, one's going into year 4. At some point, you got to take a chance on them and give them a shot. Because not only are the fans getting impatient, but the team's got to be getting impatient because we lost in the first round of the playoffs at an Eastern Conference final run. It's just like something's got to give, and you think that would come from the youth, but I don't know if the dinosaurs that be agree with that, but. Anyways, you guys comment your thoughts in the comments down below, and we'll chat. I'll meet you guys there, and hopefully we can figure this shit out because we're in the dog days of the offseason. The future's not really looking very bright for the New York Rangers right now. So, who knows? Who cares? We'll see. You guys comment below your thoughts on Alexis Lafreniere and what should happen, what should we expect, this, that, and the other thing for him next season. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.